Hello, everybody. Welcome back to PMO Refuge. This is Sarah. And I was gone for a little while, had some changeover, some difficulties. So I am happy to be back because I enjoy talking about this content. And I enjoy it because I want to do this to really find anybody that can relate to this information, anybody struggling with this information, because it is such a difficult thing to do by yourself. What's really encouraging is while I was gone for these last couple of weeks, the channel even grew. People were watching the videos even without me releasing new content. So even though typically I do release new videos on either Monday or Tuesday, I just thought it had been too long. Now that I have internet set up, I just wanted to get new material out there regardless. So with that introduction out of the way, without further ado, let's just move on and start talking about today's topic. And it's a doozy. It's a big one. It is PMO and your future. Now, I know what a lot of you are thinking, especially the younger and younger you get, right? You will automatically think, is this really something that affects my future? Because it's just something that I engage in just for a little bit during the day. Right away, right? Our brains start getting defensive. I know mine, even to this day, even with this addiction past me, even to this day, my brain still tries to find ways to duck behind things, to hide behind things, to over-explain my behavior. And that's what happens, right away. When you hear that, you think, there's no way this affects my future. It's just something, again, it's just something I do for a couple minutes, a couple times a day, maybe once a day, or, this is just pornography. I just watch it for a little bit and then I'm done, I promise. But we all have been through that, right? We know what happens next. First, it starts just once a week. Then it's once a day. Then it's several times a day. Same with pornography. Maybe it was once a month, once every couple of months. Then it turns to once a week. Then it's every single day. Then it's multiple times a day. And then same thing with when we engage in these bad habits, right? Maybe at first it's, I just need to rub one out really quick and then I'm done. Then it turns to edging. Then edging turns to 1 hour. Then 1 hour turns into several hours. Then before you know it, a whole evening has gone to waste. Just on PMO. Nothing else. I know, I've been there. I've done it. I've wasted all that time on PMO. But that's just one example. Because the issue of PMO runs a lot deeper than just time wasted when it comes to your future. And to know what I mean, we're going to, rather than kind of split everything apart, we're going to build off of this example that I just gave about time. And in this way, I'm going to illustrate to you of how PMO affects your future just in this one small area, right? So let's use this example. We just talked about how it wastes time, right? So all that time wasted, think of where that time, that creativity, and that energy could have gone, right? And we're starting small. We're not to the big things yet. I have been there, like I said. I can't think of how many wasted opportunities, wasted time that I could have used to grow, to learn something useful, to start a good habit, to learn how to deal with stress in a positive way, to even better relationships with my friends and family. That can never reach a point where you're done, right? You can always find ways to better your relationships with your friends and family. But nope, all that time is spent on PMO, wasted on PMO. So that's how it begins, right? The time that you're spending little by little every day, and it starts to add up, right? But again, we're thinking, well, is it really that bad? Well, time will pass, right? In fact, what's pretty interesting? When I look at my own example and when I look at other people's examples. I even, sad to say, I even know some real life examples of ones who struggle with sex addiction. And there is a lot of common denominators there. And one of them is stunted life growth. And what I mean by that is a lot of people do not get to where they are supposed to be in life. It gets delayed, right? It's almost like it is. Well, it is. It is like a drug or an alcohol addiction, right? Because rather than maybe, let's say, an 18-year-old, a healthy 18-year-old without a sex addiction, right? This one, he knows what he wants, he or she wants. They know what they want in life. They know what they need to do to get that thing in life. They have healthier relationships with friends, family, and the opposite sex. The one who is a sex addict, they have used all this time, energy, and attention on their addiction. So what happens next? Well, because of all that shift of focus, they do not know what they want to do in life. Again, I can speak from experience. I've been there. You do not know what you want in life. So because you do not know, that brings more stress and anxiety. Then you don't know how to deal with that stress and anxiety. So you just dig deeper and deeper into your addictive tendencies. And there you go, right? The cycle just keeps repeating itself. And so eventually, if you do work yourself out of your addiction, whether it is through willpower, whether it is through therapy, you will find that you have lost years, not months, years of your time away from goals, from desires, from real desires, not this fake desires from PMO, from relationships, all because of your addiction. Now, speaking of relationships, because again, we're building off of this, right? So, okay. You wasted time in your adolescence and your teens and your early 20s on this PMO addiction. Because of that, you're a little behind in life, right? You're stunted in your growth. Because of that, you're probably not working that great of a job. Your hobbies have probably died off. Friendships have suffered a little bit. Because I'm not saying you will absolutely lose any of these things. It's never a guarantee. The likelihood of that happening, though, increases. So because of all those things, when you seek out, and I guess for this section, I'm specifically going to talk to men, right? To the boys, the guys here in the audience. So if you have wasted all this time, what happens next is women are looking for a man with drive, with passion, right? He steers the ship in the relationship. Whether consciously or even subconsciously, he does so. Now, because you do not know what you want, or there has been a delayed, a delayed reaction to what you want, you are not as far in life as you should be. And so what happens next is you might outright get rejected by the opposite sex, right? Because they see this person and they see this guy has nothing going for him right now. Or if this guy is this years old, he is acting, or in life, he is much behind where he should be. That is the first thing. Now, the worst part would actually be to get a relationship, because then if you do not have your addiction under control, what happens next is at first they won't sense, because maybe they don't see it right away, or maybe they see the potential in you. So they try to work you out of your addiction, right? They start trying to almost fast forward the growth process to where you're supposed to be in life. But sad to say, I would say 9 times out of 10 or 10 times out of 10, that just does not work. I wish it did. I wish it could, but it just doesn't. That leads to frustration in the relationship, and then sadly, majority of the time, that leads to a broken relationship, a failed relationship even. And so now, again, if you do not get a hold on your relationship, on yourself, at that point, after your relationship is over, what can happen is you will dig down further into your addiction, and then the cycle sadly repeats itself with more and more disastrous results happening each time you get through that cycle. Pretty bleak picture, isn't it? And this isn't even talking about how you have failed to deal with anxiety, how you have failed to deal with disappointments, stresses in life. Your self-esteem is very badly damaged. So many things with your future either get delayed, and you have probably sensed that now after this discussion. So many things in your future get delayed, get ignored, or outright forgotten and left behind completely. All because your time, your energy, and your focus is not on goals and not on yourself, but it is on your addiction. And so, of course, we're going to be talking about solutions, in later videos. But just for now, one small solution, a couple of them that I can give. Because let's say you're in this predicament, right? And it kind of depends on where you are in these scenarios. But let's say you're not too far in deep, right? Well, the first thing is, just like a cancer, you have to cut out the addiction completely. Right? Now, this can be done with willpower, but more than likely, it helps to have mature friends and family, or if you can even afford it, or if it's accessible, professional health care. Whether it's, therapists, whether it's doctors, or both. I did both of them. You need to cut it out of your life completely. Because what I noticed when I went through that process is once the PMO, once the sex addiction is gone, then you start to shift your focus on catching up. You start learning how to maintain friendships. You start learning how to deal with stress and anxiety better. You start learning what you want to do professionally with yourself in life. I really hope this helped you all. It is such a difficult thing when you start getting way in deep with PMO, with addiction. It can just be so harmful. But, like I said, with a few things, you can work through it. And pretty soon we're going to start talking about what that process entails. But until then, this is Sarah, and I will see you all later.